Brian Jonestown Massacre. Good morning, Marcus in the morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Listening to the Brian Jonestown Massacre. Anton, forget his name. Anton, singer. This is from 2018, a live show. They seem to have put it back together instead of killing each other on stage and destroying themselves with narcotics. They are back. Brian Jonestown Massacre, back. Great video. If you ever see that video with them and the Dandy Warhols, it's fucking awesome, man. Awesome video. Awesome. So, good morning, everybody. Marcus Conte reporting. Marcus Conte in the morning. Yeah, baby. So, what are we going to talk about today? Holy shit, there's so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about. We'll talk about curfew has been lifted. Breaking news about an hour ago. Mayor Bill de Blasio has lifted the curfew, the 8 p.m. curfew, and that's a big deal. And thousands of well, I'll give you the New York perspective because that's where I am. Thousands, tens of thousands. On this reporter's count, there was 10,000 people alone in Washington Square Park. The New York Post lowballed it to 5,000. But it was about 10,000 because I've been in that park many times. I've seen many rallies. I saw Bernie Sanders pull 25,000. I saw Elizabeth Warren pull about 10,000. So I know what 10,000 looks like. And the New York Post says the 10,000 is 5,000. So mainstream media is lowballing the numbers on the rebels. We'll talk a little bit about that. But the big thing is, the big story, really, I just want to take a little time to step back and look at the culture war that is brewing on mostly mainstream media and such. I think the problem is that my perspective is widening because I'm outside and I'm talking to people, I'm following rallies, I'm trying to understand the psychoses, the psychology of the protester and the opposition simultaneously. And what you have is people like Tucker Carlson, who I feel is sticking his foot up his ass and in his mouth. First in his ass, then in his mouth. And one right after another. Without actually going out and trying to find out what people think. Ask some questions. You pick... All right, so you may disagree with that. We're going to watch a little bit of Tucker Carlson weave his magic on Fox. And my brother from a different mother, Cornel West. Cornel West, if you don't know who Cornel West is, he's an intellectual from Princeton University. And he was instrumental in the Bernie Sanders campaign. And he's an outspoken advocate, very, very smart guy. And we'll listen to what he has to say about what he's seeing in terms of the revolution. So are there two Americas and two revolutions going on? Or is there one great awakening going on? Or it's all a bunch of bullshit and everybody's just going to go back to being slaves? What's going on in the country? Is it just a racial riot? A riot over one criminal black man who was killed counterfeiting a 20 with a criminal record? And he got choked out by the police? Is that really what it's about? Is that really what we're seeing out the window when we see New York cave in, crashing, looters crashing the windows, and tens of thousands of people rallying and walking and marching in 90-degree, 85-degree New York heat? Is that really what it's about? Are you fucking kidding me? So we'll look at what Cornel West said. A little bit of Bernie Sanders' speech. I think he's fizzling out, but you can't deny the fact that Sanders, in a way, is Saint Bernie, who kind of, educated millions and millions of young people. They haven't forgotten. Educated Bernie, educated millions and millions of young people about income and wealth inequality and racial justice and the need for racial justice and criminal reform. Right? That was Bernie Sanders telling people. They didn't just forget. They didn't. You think all those young people forgot that Bernie Sanders said 800 times in a row that the ruling class is squeezing out the little people, that 99% of the people are controlled by the 1%? You think that they forgot that? Do you think that every time Bernie said the top 1/10 of 1% is siphoning all the wealth out of the economy, you think that they forgot that while they're out there in the street? Of course not. Of course not. It would be ridiculous to think that their minds suddenly went in reverse or suddenly went on erase. Oh, look at that too. So there you go. So welcome everybody. Good morning everybody. Jim Gerard's here. Her Pooper's here. JB, what's up, JB? Vinny DiMartini on the wrench. Good morning, Vinny DiMartini. What's up, Vinny? Who else? Harkview Cinema. Barry Atkins, and Kenneth Byrne. Barry Atkins. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Me So Hungry is here. Bebop. John Perry Barlow Declaration. John Perry Barlow Declaration. Good morning. Good morning, John. Miss Chris Mike is here. Good morning, everybody. So let me stumble through this because it's a beautiful day outside, and I wanted to be outside, but I wanted to just step back a moment and try to reflect on what the hell is going on in the mainstream media right now, and who's controlling the narrative. I think I am, if you ask me. If you ask me who's controlling the narrative, I feel like I'm running the narrative. I'm telling you what's going on the motherfucking ground, right? I'm telling you, I'm in the rally. I'm there. And I'm telling you, I'm talking to people, and I'm getting a feel. These idiots are sitting behind their screens, and they're, with their $6 million a year jobs, and they're not getting off their ass at Fox, right? Get outside, guys. Get outside. So before you go outside, become a Patreon of this channel. This is how I do it. Still not even breaking even in this venture. And I need your support. Kindly make a contribution over here. You hit the tip jar. You go to marcusconte.com. You hit the tip jar and you make a contribution. Or better, you become an ongoing contributor for as little as $2 a month. Now it adds up. If a lot of people join, it's something that then allows me to do more travel, to get out further, to increase my equipment supply, the things that I use, different types of gear that I use, right? To advance the cause. If you want to advance this type of media, then this is how you do it. You join through Patreon, right? You can always cancel. You can cancel at any time. If you think I'm a dick, you can cancel, right? But for the most part, you join, and so thank you very much. So let's dive in. Let's dive right in. Hold on, how we doing, man? How we doing? All right. So we got some people here. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. If you're new to the internet, right? I just told you how this is supported, right? You go to my site, marcusconte.com, and you become a Patreon of the channel, and that's how we fuel the thing. It's viewer funded. It's a new way of doing business. Right? We're actually asking the viewers, because YouTube isn't helping, and fucking, certainly no corporate sponsors are coming to me to talk down about their shit, right? So that's how it works, right? Giving you the truth. The truth is very unprofitable to corporations. They need the selling point. They need you to stay on message, to say that regular people are bad and they're sick and they need to subordinate, right? But here I tell you, I empower you. I tell you the opposite. I tell you the truth, that the power is in the people. God damn it. So New York City curfew is lifted effective immediately, says Mr. de Blasio. Mayor Bill de Blasio lifted Big Apple's curfew immediately in an unexpected announcement early Sunday. Now, he said it would last till Sunday. New York City, we are lifting the curfew effective immediately. Yesterday and last night, we saw the very best of our city. Tomorrow, we take the first big step to restart. Really? Keep staying safe. Keep looking out for each other. each other, he wrote. Excuse me. So the curfew in New York City is up. So now it's a different equity. I think that again, I believe that the escapades, the events that we're seeing are just getting started. People are just getting. What do they got? They got nothing else to do. What are they going to do? They're coming out in mass. Young people coming out in mass, waking up to this perception of racial division. Is it true? I don't know, but they to them it's true. Is there income and wealth inequality in this country? Of course there is. So people are waking up in mass and they're coming out. So thousands, I would say tens of thousands is a better way to put it, of George Floyd protesters take to the streets. I just want to poke some holes in these numbers here. Thousands of George Floyd protesters. They're not just George Floyd protesters. Took to the streets for a 10th straight day of marches and rallies across Big Apple on Saturday, with many anti-cop demonstrators urging the dismantling of New York's finest. Now, let's talk about that for 1 second. I know when you say dismantle, it's not to say, I see signs up too that say defund NYPD. That's not entirely realistic or logical or safe. You don't want to eliminate the police. You want to demilitarize them. New York City has 30 or 40,000, we don't even know how many, 40,000 police officers. Many of them are counter-terrorism organizations, units that were put in place during 9/11. And now that those threats are not really real anymore, right? The immediate threats are gone. What happens is once you hire those troops, they stay in place, right? It's like you're supposed to let them go. You're supposed to, you don't need all these cops, because when you have, mass amounts of cops that all they know how to do is beat the shit out of people and clobber people and clunk people and corral people, and treat people like terrorists, then that's what they're going to do when you put them on the street, because that's how they're trained. So you need to not defund police, but you need to get rid of, half or more of these very, very violent, police forces. Get rid of them. Retrain, reboot. Learn how to, go back to like I understand in England the police don't carry guns. They just carry, how about rubber clubs, right, or something, or nets, or how about loudspeakers? They yell at you, right, something like that. Why do you got to beat the shit out of people, right? So I believe that dismantling, that's a strong word, dismantling of New York's finest, New York's NYPD. I don't know about dismantling, but definitely downsizing and renovating. That's a better word. Let's renovate the police department so that it works to keep people safe. What's so hard about that, right? Community service, right? Retraining. Get rid of all the thugs, all the criminal minds that like to beat people and kill people, and they all join the police force, and that's what they do. They beat people and kill people. Get rid of those people. Change the psychological test that weeds those cocksuckers out and puts in compassionate people that care about community builders, policing in the right, and then you decrease all these people foolishly and senselessly in jail, decriminalize the drug thing so that you eliminate that. Right? There's a lot of ways to go. Right? So throngs blew past 8 p.m. curfew in fast-moving marches throughout Manhattan. All right, so all I wanted to say about this is estimated 5,000 people filled Washington Square Park. False. 10,000 people filled Washington Square Park, and another 10 or 15 or 20,000 people marched up from Foley Square from I don't fucking know where, and headed up towards Washington Square Park. So I would imagine that there's 20, 30,000 people surrounding the fucking park at any given moment. And also, you had rallies in Brooklyn, at Atlantic Avenue. You had it at the Brooklyn Museum. You had rallies in Williamsburg, McCarran Park, right, all over the city, up in West 110th Street. All right, all over the city, you've got these rallies. You got literally 100,000 or more people marching around the city. Central Park too. All right. Just here's the stats. As of Saturday morning, 1,049 arrested, tied to protests, and had so about 1,000 people arrested, 1,400 summonses for violating the curfew. Those will all be thrown out. Just go to if you got one of those, if you got a violation for curfew, plead not guilty. Go in front of the judge and say, "Look, I had no watch on. I don't know what you're talking about. Curfew? What curfew? I never heard any curfew." I just go there and say, "Look, I was staying with a rally. I was following the lead of the rally people, and that's it. It'll get thrown out. Right? You're not going to get. There's no consequence to that. It's bullshit." So that's all I wanted to say about this. So let's look at Tucker Carlson. I'm going to play the whole thing, right? Yeah, Vinny says I showed a lot of people yesterday. I have those videos queued up. I'm going to show you. And the bathroom was closed. That's right. All you have is now says closed bathrooms. Yeah, they close the bathrooms. They do that in the park so that, look, if you can't take a piss, if you got to go, you got to go. Me, I know all the spots. I know trees. I know little hiding spots where I could, go to take a piss. Right? I'm not gonna walk around or ride around on a city bike having to take a piss all day long because there's no bathroom open. Fuck you. Right? There's a couple of public bathrooms, and one of them is in Washington Square Park. The other one is in Union Square Park. And but there's plenty of trees and there's plenty of empty blocks where you could just take a piss. Right? Sorry, but that's the way it goes, man. If you want to close the bathrooms and not place some Porto Sands, why don't you put up some Porto Johns around the city? Why don't you drop 25 Porto Johns and people won't be taking a shit on the street? Close the bathrooms, people shit in the street. That's just the way it is. Right? Sorry, I will not conform. I will not obey. So there are two Americas. There are two conflicting views of what the hell is going on, right? And two examples are, one is going to be Tucker Carlson. The other we'll use Cornel West. And of course, and then I want to look at the young woman I spoke to yesterday. A couple of people I spoke to in the park. Very brief. I haven't done many interviews because it didn't feel comfortable up until now because I really didn't know what I was seeing, and I didn't know if people would be receptive to talking. Right? I kind of felt it out, but now it seems that people are a little less defensive, a little more open-minded as they come out. And they shake, being isolated for so long. They're just shaking that off, and now they're talking to each other again. They're becoming civil. They're becoming able to talk to each other again. So I'm doing that. I don't think Tucker Carlson is doing it. So let's listen to Tucker Carlson. We'll hear him out all the way through, and we'll see if he's right or not. So here we go.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. Every cult has the same goal: the utter submission of its members.
So right away he calls them a cult.
Cult members surrender everything. They give up their physical freedom, where they can go, who they can see, how they can dress. But more than that, they give up control of their minds. Cult leaders determine what their followers are allowed to believe, even in their most private thoughts. In order to do this, cults separate people from all they have known before. They force their members to renounce their former lives, their
Is Fox News a cult?
countries, their customs. They allow no loyalty except to the cult. The first thing they attack always is the family. Families are the main impediment to brainwashing and extremism. That's true in every culture. So if you're going to control individuals, if you're going to transform free people into compliant robots, the first thing you must do is separate them from the ones who love them most. In 1932, Soviet authorities began promoting the story of a 13-year-old peasant boy called Pavlik Morozov. Morozov, they claim.
So just to clarify, I think we'd all agree that Tucker Carlson believes that what he's seeing out the window is a radicalizing people into a cult of some sort of cult of some kind of cult, some sort of the people are being controlled by these cult leaders. Now, is that accurate or is that ridiculous? Let's keep going.
Had taken the supremely virtuous step of denouncing his own father to the secret police for committing counter-revolutionary acts. Once exposed as a traitor, the boy's father was executed by firing squad for the safety of the state. Joseph Stalin elevated this boy to the status of national hero for what he did. People wept in the streets when they heard his name. They worshipped him like a saint.
I think he's trying to make a comparison to George Floyd, and that's a pretty good comparison. That's accurate. I like that.
Why are we telling you this? Because it's happening here. In the last 10 days, some of our most prominent citizens have sworn allegiance to a cult. Converts go by the term allies, and like all cult members, they demand total conformity. They ritually condemn their own nation, its history, its institutions, its symbol.
Tucker Carlson just became the right side of Rachel Maddow with that comment. That's a Rachel Maddow comment. He's fear mongering like Russiagate.
Its flag. They denounce their own parents. If you've been on social media recently, you've likely seen many videos like this one.
You stupid dinosaur! Get the out of here! I'm sorry, you guys.
That is a child attacking her mother and father for the crime of insufficient loyalty to Black Lives Matter.
Okay, now, there's millions and millions of young people in the country, Tucker, and you know that. And you're handpicking, you're handpicking a select one crazy young child, obviously a teenager. You're exploiting a teenager because she's all cooped up in her house and she's pissed off. Right? Why don't you go out into the park where the people are, where there are actual people on the ground, and see what they're saying and see how they're joining together. They're not cursing out their mothers and fathers. You idiot! Right? Wake up, Tucker.
Reporter Hannah Lustig of Insider.com wrote about that video, and she strongly approved of it. What you just saw, Lustig wrote, is a young person, quote, modeling the most important tenet of allyship. Modeling, meaning something done to encourage others to do the same. It's effective, and in this case, it's working. Here's a 15-year-old from Louisiana called Isabella. There are many like her in America right now.
I literally hate my family so much. It's just, they just try to argue with me that George Floyd they're just trying to tell me that he deserved that because he did something wrong and that it was okay. That is not okay. And it's just making me so upset. I don't know why. I do not want to live here. I hate living in Louisiana. I hate living around these racist. I just want to leave.
I hate my family.
Come on, Fox, you've got good guys exploiting teenagers, you cocksuckers, man. Listen to that shit, right? Oh, come on, man. Come on. So I mean, I see a 60s. I see it. I see the 60s revolution. It's just there is that indifference between young people and old people, but it's not necessarily. It's a cultural divide that has formed, right? And I'm going to play when you listen to Cornel West speak. It'll become very clear. Right? It's all the things that we've been talking about. I've been talking about on this channel is that the young people are waking up en masse and they've had enough. And just because today it's George Floyd, tomorrow it'll be, if we're lucky, it'll be eat the rich. It'll be let's take down the oligarchs and stand together. Right? That would be the proper message. But for now, whatever gets them out, right? Whatever gets them out, whatever gets them in conflict with the status quo, whatever draws them out into the street is a blessing in my view. Tucker.
So much. Just a week ago, it would have been hard to imagine that. Now Isabella is a social media star. Celebrities tweet their approval at her. She may have her own cult following before long. But the revolution is young. Children attacking their parents is just the beginning. On CNN today, a man called...
Children attacking their parents. You fucking... Wow. I like Tucker Carlson. I mean, he has said a lot of good things, but right now he's reading some script and he's just dreadfully off, in my view.
Tim Wise told viewers that going forward, parents must hurt their own children.
I think the important thing for white parents to keep in the front of our mind is that if black children in this country are not allowed innocence and childhood without fear of being killed by police or marginalized in some other way, then our children don't deserve innocence. If Tamir Rice can be shot dead in a public park playing with a toy gun, something white children do all over this country every day without the same fear of being shot, if Tamir Rice can be killed, then white children need to be told at least at the same age. If they can't be innocent, we don't get to be innocent.
That is the most ridiculous fucking thing I've ever heard. Right? Tamara Rice, right? She was the young girl that got shot in the park. She was wheeling a fake gun, and the police shot her down without asking any questions. Horrific, disgusting, ridiculous. The result of what? The result of a militarized, desensitized, broken police force. But this, I mean, again, Tucker Carlson is guilty, but the idiots on the left are even more guilty. She's saying that he's making the argument, older white, 50-year-old white man saying that there is white privilege, that because of your white privilege, you shouldn't be allowed to be white. Your whiteness is overshadowing someone else's blackness. It's such bull fucking shit. And guess what? The young people see through all of your bullshit. The young people are fucking tired of listening to idiots like this left-wing talking head, right? Imagine this guy was your father. Imagine you were 20 and this guy was your father telling you about the racial tensions in this country, right? And telling you about your white privilege, and they realize that the young people, I don't know what they realize. We're finding out soon enough. They don't even know what they realize yet because they're just coming out and forming an opinion. And that opinion is going to be very, very strong because they're not yielding. So anyway, but let's listen to a little more.
Your children are no longer allowed to be innocent, says Tim Wise. Happy childhoods are a sign of racism. The man saying this and being affirmed by CNN's anchors as he does is a self-described anti-racism activist. He's been saying things like...
See, Tucker, it's okay to... Tucker has a keen eye to criticize others, but he can't see his own fault calling the kids and exploiting two teenage girls so far in one show, and calling them members of a cult. That how many kids rebel against their parents? Every kid at some point in their life rebels against their parent, and you turn the fucking camera on them and say, "Oh, look, they're joining a cult." Right? That's inaccurate, right? So Tucker Carlson, although he scores a little point, a point or two, exposing the left-wing kook, his own right-wing nonsense is on display.
This for a long time. More than once, Tim Wise has suggested that he approves of violence against those who disagree. How does Tim Wise make a living? Well, in part by lecturing students. Your kids may have seen him speak. You've almost certainly heard a lot of people like Tim Wise. In America's schools, the revolution has been in progress for quite some time. Rochester.
That's very, very true. A lot of these liberal, quote, for lack of a better term, liberal professors will go in there and use their platform as teachers to advocate all kinds of nonsense. It's not always that the people agree. It's not always that the students agree, but they will talk about how the 60s and social reform occurred. They'll try to teach their version of a revolution when they're not paying attention to the revolution in front of their face. That's how you have to find out. You have to go out and find out what is happening on the ground. What are they frustrated about? What are they fighting for? Right? And neither one of these two idiots so far have any idea of what's going on, in my view.
The Rochester School District in New York has created a Black Lives Matter themed lesson plan. The teaching materials dismiss America's bedrock institutions, indeed America itself, as inherently racist. Suggested questions for students include, how does mass incarceration function as a mechanism of racialized social control? One specific racial group is singled out for exclusive blame. The curriculum promotes a book entitled White Rage, the unspoken truth of our racial...
See, now here he's rather accurate in that there is a promotion from the left that white is somehow privileged and black is somehow disprivileged, and that that there are no... they never mention that there might happen to be black racists, and there's so many black racists. If you watch this channel, I've exposed tons and tons and hordes of black racists that work in city employment, that, the guard, that black racist that said I had white privilege, the hospital guard that's being sued by yours truly. There's so many examples of black racism against white people that needs to be spoken about as well. You can't ignore that. You can't ignore that there's a lot of old blacks that will never side. They feel they've been taken advantage so many times by whites that they don't trust anybody. They don't trust a single white person on earth. And you have the extreme where you saw the Covington high school kids out on at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., be confronted by black racists, the black Arabs, the Muslims, the black Muslim Jews, right? Fucking calling them incest babies and attacking them racially. Those are racists. Those are black racists. So there are from the left, you'll never hear that. You never hear that. From the right, it's almost offensive to call blacks racist, so they don't say it. But I'll say it because I've experienced it, and I see it, and I'll call it out. So racism exists. It's not black. It's not always white versus black. It's a lot of times it's black versus white. It seems more so these days because a lot of blacks are speaking out against whites irrelevantly. So, right. So let's continue. I keep interrupting.
Divide. In other words, children, there's a reason hatred and inequality exist. These people did it. That's what your kids are learning right now. That's not an overstatement. Yesterday at Darien High School in Connecticut, Principal Ellen Dunn sent an email to parents in which she promised to increase the, quote, race-conscious education of our students. In order to achieve that, Dunn distributed materials from the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, ironically, the Southern Poverty Law Center is itself a hate group that has been documented extensively. But now their agenda is the school's agenda. It's what your kids are learning. In Washington, D.C., an elementary school principal in the affluent northwest section of the city recently wrote a letter announcing that, quote, we need more white parents to talk to their kids about race, especially now. The letter singled out, quote, white staff and white community members, whom the principal alleged had committed, quote, both macro and microaggressions against staff of color.
Yeah, I totally agree with Tucker Carlson on that point, that the left pushes the racist agenda against whites. All right? Whether they're white or black doesn't really matter. They're pushing an agenda. Excuse me one second. I don't want to sneeze in your face like that. You know, if you sneeze or cough in public today in New York, it's like a death sentence. People look, stop and stare. Oh shit, he coughed, he sneezed. All right, put my mask on. It's just an allergy sneeze. Right? So Tucker Carlson scores a point there by saying that, pointing out that the left is instructing their kids, white kids, to feel guilty, white guilt. Right? That's bullshit right there. That's not what the kids in the street are saying. They're actually saying the opposite. That they're actually grateful that white people are helping black people and black people are helping white people. They're astonished by the fact that people actually feel that way. That people are not inherently racist. 99%, 95% of people walking around could care less about race. They just want people to be harmonious. But they watch the older generation crunch the what they think is happening, the older whites and like this guy, and older blacks crunching the number. In this case, I don't really have an older black crunching it as an example, but I want to show you Cornel West, who in my view is spot on. Right? You might not agree, but I think he's spot on.
The principal did not specify what those crimes were. She didn't need to. Their skin color was their crime. This is a national theme. It pains us to tell you that, but it's true. It's incredibly destructive and dangerous. Countless school districts are now using the 1619 Project from the New York Times, for example, as a curriculum. That project is the work of an out-of-the-closet racial extremist called Nicole Hannah-Jones. Jones, for example, recently...
You know what I think should happen, and I just had a thought. What should probably happen in the colleges is that the shift away from professorships should go to studentship. In other words, give students, have a different way of educating people through the studentship. In other words, every day we have a different maybe 2 or 3 students research something and then talk about it and have open discussion and let the professors moderate rather than narrate. Maybe we're heading in that direction where not only should police reform occur, but educational reform should occur. So that you don't have a bunch of, know-it-alls, people that are paid to profess something when the systems are all breaking down. What you're professing is yesterday, right? The times they are changing, right? So you might want to go to more of a Quaker-style education system where people in the room speak up, and the student is, because of what the student is experiencing, the experience of the student is far more valuable than what some, $80,000 a year professor is professing. You dig? Can you dig it?
argued it is not violence to loot and burn stores. It's justified. Her propaganda is now mandatory in public schools in Buffalo, Chicago, Newark, Washington. Many parents, understandably, deeply resent this. It's deranged. It's racist. But others don't. They are allies, and they've joined in. One mother in London, where the cult is also spreading, posted this photo on Twitter. It's of her daughter on bended knee, holding a sign declaring her privilege. The Cultural Revolution has come to the West.
He's got a point there. I mean, Tucker Carlson makes a point. There's a white kid saying, "I'm privileged. Black Lives Matter." That's just fundamentally wrong in my view. All lives matter. I know that's now considered a racist comment. All lives matter, as if to diminish the black. Like black lives don't matter, but all lives matter. Oh, look, he said all lives matter. That means black lives don't matter in their view, and that whole rhetoric that you hear. But having a young child hold up a sign saying "privileged," again, that's bad parenting. It's stop listening. The kid didn't come up with that themselves. Right? The fucking kid, that kid didn't come up with that. Right? Somebody told them. Right? Some radicalized parent that believes that whites are privileged over blacks in this way. Got through to the kid, and the kid crayoned with crayons and made a sign for herself. Despicable in my view, or just way off.
What will the effects of this be? This is just a moment. It will end. How will we feel about it looking back? Years from now, how will that little girl with the sign remember her childhood?
And you say poor people don't matter, says Kenneth Byrne in the chat. Exactly. All you're hearing about from Tucker Carlson is this black-white issue, but you're not hearing the real problem, which is green versus no green, which is, loot, cash, wealth versus no wealth. That's the real cultural divide.
Her mother took Tim Wise's advice. She no longer has innocence. Will she be grateful for that? It's hard to imagine she will be. More likely, she will feel bitter and used because she has been used. And it's likely that many children growing up right now will feel the same way. Is there a single person who believes that this moment we're living through will end in racial harmony? That used to be what we wanted. Some of us still do want that.
No. You're Tucker Carlson, yes, they will, not by exploiting teenagers locked away in their home, but getting off your fucking privileged asshole, right, and going outside and talking to people. That's how you might find out. You might find out what's going on if you actually get out of your cubicle and go talk to people and see what's going on for yourself, and stop tapping into the worst, the most extreme situations. I never saw a sign like this, a young child with an arrow pointing at their face called privileged at any of these rallies. I've never seen anything like that. I've just seen people, Black Lives Matter. I have not seen that sort of extreme or young teenage girls breaking down saying they hate their parents. No, 100% unity on the streets, 100% unity.
Is it even a goal anymore? It doesn't seem like it. Instead, it seems like many in power, it's very clear, in fact, that many in power are pushing hard for racial division, for hatred, for violence. And let's pray they don't get what they want. Tribal conflict will destroy a country faster than any plague. But keep in mind, as this insanity continues, that it doesn't happen in a vacuum. Every action provokes a reaction. That's physics. We don't know where this is going. We don't want to know where it's going. The cult members should stop now, immediately, before more innocents get hurt, and they will if they don't.
So Tucker Carlson calls for immediate dismantling of the cult behavior. Is he accurate, or isn't he accurate? So we gave Tucker Carlson a lot of time, gave him a whole whopping 10 minutes to spew his venom. And now let's hear from somebody that I thoroughly respect. This is Cornel West. He is a intellectual is a professor at Princeton University, PhD, Dr. Cornel West, and definitely an advocate of I don't know what he is, but let's just listen to what he says. It's remarkable. Listen.
The problem is we've got a system, my brother, that rationalizes legalized loot, Wall Street greed, Wall Street crimes.
Now that's my brother right there. We have a system.
We've got a system, my brother, that
rationalizes legalized looting, Wall Street greed, and Wall Street crime. Oh man, Tucker Carlson, you fucking you dropped the ball, man. You dropped the ball. That's what's going on. Oh, it's a financial. It's. I don't have any shit. Oh, they took all my shit. They took all my opportunity, and now I'm pissed off. Oh yeah, some black guy got choked out. Let's go on the street and protest. And then they realize they start talking to each other. And when they start talking to each other, they realize, oh yeah, Bernie was right. That the looting, our government is being looted by corporate scumbags, monopolies, and oligarchs. Let's listen to Cornel West again. And I'll let him speak. I won't interrupt.
Rationalizes legalized loot, Wall Street greed, Wall Street crimes. Well, there's no doubt that this is America's moment of reckoning. I thank God.
I agree.
That we have people in the streets. Can you imagine this kind of lynching taking place and people are indifferent? The catalyst was certainly Brother George's Floyd public lynching, but the failures of the predatory capitalist economy to provide the satisfaction of the basic needs of food and health care and quality education, jobs with a decent wage. At the same time, the collapse of your political class, the collapse of your professional class. Their legitimacy has been radically called into question, and that's multiracial.
Cornel West says the whole collapse, the distrust of the system. Fuck the system. The system needs to be rebooted. That's what Cornel West is saying. That's a black man saying it. Black man, he's a black man. He's supposed to be saying fucking the whites are doing it to him, but he's not. He's telling you what's going on. He's telling you what I've been telling you what's going on the whole time. And as people embrace the left and say, "Oh, Joe Biden," and we have to go in that direction, or Trump, he's such a genius. Oh, the capitalist Trump, my brother, I love Trump. I fucking love Trump. Hey, guys say that shit too, right? And you realize that all that is a bamboozle. Your only chance was Bernie. The Sanders movement exposed that. and said that there lies the problem, right? And Bernie himself didn't even want to be a leader. He said we need a lot of leaders. But anyway, I hate to say I told you so.
Most of my fellow citizens, God bless them, that are in the streets, are there, peaceful, who are there marching. And when it does spill over into violence, looting is wrong. But legalized looting is wrong too. So that then the question becomes, how do we keep alive moral, spiritual standards, keep alive, staying in contact with the humanity of all of us across the board, but recognizing we're living in a moment of massive economic, what is capitalist economy? Failure when it comes to delivering the needs. The nation state, failure to protect. Critical criminal justice system, failure to be fair. The young people are saying, you all have been hypocritical. You haven't been concerned about our suffering, our misery, and we no longer believe in your legitimacy. We must have an answer.
We no longer believe in your legitimacy. Oh, my brother.
Fascist coalition against what's going on in the White House Republican Party. We have to tell the truth about the milquetoast, cowardly activity too often that we see among the neoliberal wing of the Democratic Party, and we must be critical of ourselves in terms of keeping alive the highest moral and spiritual standards of Martin Luther King Jr. and Fannie Lou Hamer and Ella Baker. And you see it at work in the soul of Brother George Floyd's family. If we're more concerned about the property and spillover than the poverty, decrepit school system, dilapidated housing, massive unemployment and underemployment, we're going to be doing this every 5, every 10, every 20 years. What we need is a nonviolent revolutionary project of full-scale democratic sharing, power, wealth, resources, respect, organizing, and the fundamental transformation of this American empire.
Wow. Am I biased? Oh my God, right? Cornel West, right? Holy shit, where did that come from, right? From out of nowhere. Does he crush Tucker Carlson? Does he one up Tucker Carlson? I think so. I think Tucker Carlson is rather shallow in his understanding of what's going on. He's coming from a very, I guess, for lack of a better term, conservative, white, like milquetoast kind of. It's almost like the 60s. Tucker Carlson represents the mothers and fathers who didn't understand their young people. And Cornel West, although he's probably older than Tucker Carlson, he's older than me, is spewing venom straight from the heart. He's spewing truth. You know what I mean? He's attacking truth. So who else can we listen to in this? Let's listen to this guy. You remember this guy? He ran for president, Bernie Sanders. Listen to this fucking guy. Fucking give Bernie Sanders a minute.
Everybody understands this is just an unbelievable moment in American history. As I speak, there are tens and tens of thousands of people coast to coast.
It's low audio. There's nothing I can do about it.
Marching for racial justice, marching in horrified opposition to the police murder of George Floyd, understanding that we need real police department reform, where police officers are held accountable for their actions, and when found guilty, are punished to the full extent of the law. People increasingly understand that we need real criminal justice reform, so that we don't end up with more people in jail disproportionately, African American, Latino, Native American, than any other country on earth.
So Bernie Sanders, just to reiterate, he's not going full liberal, full bleeding heart liberal. He's saying essentially that we need police reform. We need criminal justice reform in this country. Right? And at this time, the criminal justice system disproportionately targets people of color. Is that accurate? Yeah, it is accurate. Just look at the statistics of people in jail. It's like 4 times more people, non-white people than white people. Right? That's just a statistic. That's statistical evidence. So he's accurate to say that. And I like that Sanders didn't just hop on it's blacks victimized. He's not saying that at all. He's just saying that he's not saying that at all.
But it's not just police department reform. It's not just criminal justice reform. As we speak right now, as a result of the pandemic and the economic collapse, some 20% of our people are unemployed.
On that note, 20% of people unemployed. Yesterday, the unemployment number came out. It was 13%. I fundamentally disagree with that number. I think it's rigged. I think that's your government telling you 13%, as opposed to the expected 20%. I think the actual unemployment rate in this country is between 25 and 30%. 1 in 3 Americans, working class, working able Americans, are unemployed.
And we need a federal jobs program which puts people back to work. And God knows there's more than enough work to be done. Rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, transforming our energy
Right,
system.
but you're not going to get a system like that unless you have to squash out the oligarchs are so in control. Their stock markets are surging right now. And unless you bring about fundamental change to the system, you're not going to get any of these things. Sadly, the only thing you're going to get is a cultural revolution. People that refuse. Right? See, the answer. Bernie Sanders probably doesn't see it either, but the answer is in the young people out on the street. They're going to lead the way, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, whether Tucker Carlson likes it or not, or whether Cornel West likes it or not. The young people are going to lead us the fuck out of this thing, and they're doing it because you don't see people protesting. They tried the protest a lockdown. What? It was 20 people came out in all of New York City, and they got shut down in the first hour. And they were so disheveled and so besides themselves that they all went home when it started raining. The kids are not. I saw them yesterday. It fucking poured at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Heavy rain. I was hiding. I hid under a fucking awning for about 20 minutes, right? I was like, holy shit, they're getting soaking wet. And those kids held their ground out in Foley Square and marching. They were all soaking wet. But again, it was 80 degrees out. Well, a couple of minutes, you dry again. But they all held their ground, right? And coward me, I fucking ran. I was hiding, no umbrella. I get fucking wet. I was hiding under an awning in Soho for a long time.
Dealing with childcare, dealing with
Bernie Sanders is actually rather boring right now. Bernie, wake the fuck up, man. It's your revolution.
education, dealing with healthcare. That right now in America, when people are losing their jobs, they're also losing their health insurance by the millions. So we have to continue the fight.
See, this is Bernie's job. Bernie's position in life is to point out the things that people miss. The essence of a fair wage, fair health care, right? That's what he's talking about. That's what he's always been talking about for 20 years. People said 30, 40 years. People will argue, oh, Bernie, you never got anything done. Well, I fundamentally disagree because all of those tens of thousands of children out there that you like to call children that are now beyond your command know exactly what Bernie Sanders is talking about. Exactly. So who's the savvy politician? Bernie Sanders planted the seeds of revolution in the minds of millions of young people across this country. And now you're seeing the fruits of that explode. You're seeing the fruits of that, the seeds spring out of the ground and grow. Bernie Sanders did that. You might not agree. You say, "Oh, it's like capitalist, socialist. He's a left wing. He's a liberal. He's a Jew. He never got anything done. He's a liberal." All that shit, right? But the fact is, he inspired millions of young people, and although they're just fed up with the system. They're like, "Yeah, Bernie Sanders was good, but now we got this, Bernie. Yeah. Thanks, Bernie, but now we got this, right?"
For a Medicare for all single payer program. So right now, in this unprecedented moment in American history, when we have a president who is moving us in a more and more authoritarian direction, when we have a president who doesn't understand the Constitution, doesn't care for the Constitution, wants to disrupt through the military peaceful demonstration.
Me So Hungry says, "Oh, Bernie. So Bernie is to blame for this chaos." No, he's not to blame. He's and what you're calling chaos is actually rebirth. Is Bernie to blame for the rebirth? No, he's part of it. His messaging is definitely part of it. I don't call what's happening chaos at all. I think it's actually you're moving towards clarity. Chaos is defined as a 1% of the population, enslaving through wage labor and such, enslaving the other 99%. That's chaos. Where you have elections that are stolen right in front of people's faces. That's chaos. Having young people come out and speak truth to power on the streets of the cities of America, that's not chaos. That's sanity. That's actually the opposite of chaos. That's where people are coming together, waking up en masse. Right? And the young people are leading the way. Most of the people outside are less than 30 years old. You see a couple of oldies sprinkled in, but for the most part, it's young people. Where's the old people? Where's all the small business owners protesting that they got ripped off from big business, that they got their mortgages lifted right from under their feet? By work, they had a mortgage with the bank, and then the bank is responsible for giving them the stimulus program that they were entitled to, chokes them out of that stimulus program, causes them to renege on their mortgage, and then takes their property. Because that's what's happening right now. Right? That's the graduate school discussion that we could have another time. But that's really what's going on. So,
now is the time that we stand together and make sure that Congress does the right thing, and that is stand with the working families of this country in this terrible moment of need. And let's do that as quickly as we can, and we need your help.
Okay, Bernie, thank you very much for sharing. Bernie Sanders fucking almost fell asleep watching that. So do they have the numbers? So here's yesterday out in Washington Square Park. This is my footage. Now, I have seen many rallies in Washington Square Park. I saw Elizabeth Warren in that spot. I saw Bernie Sanders. And I can tell you that this is 10,000 people. I could tell you because I walked around the perimeter of the park and it was packed all the way around. 20,000 people spills out into the street. It spills all the way into the blocks around it. And it wasn't quite there yet until that other pack, the other crowd came in. So you're looking at massive showing up. Right? And if all these people go radical, right, start smashing shit, you got a serious cultural revolution on your hands, right? Where they're just smashing the system to the ground. They're burning the system. That doesn't work for them anymore. Why should they contribute to a system that is in their face, right? Is inadvertently stealing their future. And here's more evidence, right? So there's that crowd, right? This is a separate crowd. This is not the same crowd. The park is already happening, right? And it rained on the park. I didn't see what happened after the rain. But this is coming from downtown Manhattan. This is another part of the rally. Another 10, 15, 20,000 people. Another, couple of hundred cops with helmets and riot gear. And over in Brooklyn, there's tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 people more protesting. So let's get the numbers right? Let's get the numbers right. So that, again, that's just my on the ground, observation, right? And as I said, I've trailed these rallies. I know where it leads. It goes from very peaceful, and then it peels off. 90% of the people go home, but there's that core 10% that do so much damage and so much upheaval that I think that the protesters should be grateful for that, because they're bringing attention to the cause. If people were just protesting peacefully, you'd have the same situation that we had in New York, where 1 million people came out for the Iraq War protests. And what change happened? What happened? Nothing. Here, you've got every business in Manhattan terrified that their places are going to get looted or burned or smashed. Right? You got that's a powerful position to be in. Now you negotiate. Oh, you want to negotiate? Oh, you want to negotiate with us? You want to find out what our demands are? Okay, well, let's bring you down. Let's bring you down on your knees. And when you're on your knees, then we'll negotiate, right? But right now, you still got us bent over the barrel, and we're going to give you a little more pain and a little more discomfort. And our numbers are growing, and your numbers are faltering. And then let's talk about negotiation. So I support the rebels. Right? So let's listen to this young woman in the park. Right now, again, I say that the issue is it's not racial per se. It is for some people, but the bigger element is what Cornel West is saying, and what I've been saying all along is that we live in a monopoly. We live in an oligarchy where very few people are calling the shots. But on the street, let's find out what the people say. So I interviewed this young woman. Very good interview, right? So check this out. I didn't get much of it, but it was just the park. They were playing music, and you can't if you put up a video with their music in it, it'll get struck, and that's bad. Hey guys, bring you guys into my frame. Independent reporter, YouTube guy. Hi, how are you? So how you guys doing? How's everything holding up?
It's pretty overwhelming. I can't believe this many white people care about us. I'm really happy. New York.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. It's
I
funny.
know. New York is
She couldn't believe that this many white people cared about her. Wow. What a comment.
totally redeemed in my eyes. I was afraid to come outside last week, so this is a nice change.
Yeah, it's been going on. Are you happy with the way the rallies are going thus far?
I'm happy with the peaceful protests and rallies. I think it's a real sign of change.
Yeah.
I definitely am not with the looters who are using the movement to steal things. It's not the same message, but it's really well organized and things are going really well.
Right. With the exception of the looters that are breaking everything. You think that's the wrong way to go in a protest?
I do think that's the wrong way to go. I don't see how
Because they think it's the right way to go. Just first of all, the first observation is she a crying teenager? Is she sniffling and saying she hates her mother? This is the vast majority of people on the ground of her psychology, right? It's smart. She's not ignorant. She's clearly not racist or any of those things. She's just figuring it out. That's what protests are about. That's what rallies are about. It's not everybody knows exactly what they stand for, but they come together, and that's where they formulate opinion, right? And their opinions are scattered, and then slowly they come together in arrowhead. So there you go.
I don't see how stealing and looting has anything to do with what we're doing.
It's the minority of the protest happening, and so I think
Forget about the masks. The masks are a costume. Just overlook the masks. They're fearful. They bought into the COVID-19 bullshit, right? Whatever. Just look through it. They also, a lot of them feel comfortable wearing the mask because they're being radicalized on the street. The cameras are rolling, and part of it is to be incognito, the mask. So they like the mask.
we should be focusing on
Look at the social distancing. They don't give a fuck how close you are. They don't care.
the peaceful protests that are causing a change and not.
Right. It seems like the looting, the vandalism, breaking stuff is about 5% of the crowd, or less.
Yeah, I think it's
And
5%
95% are the daytime crowd.
Yeah, I think it's 5% of it. Yeah, I think the media gets about 95%, and I think it needs to be the opposite.
Have you ever followed one of the rallies all the way to the end when the smashing starts?
No, I haven't been part of that yet. I started in the morning at 59th Columbus.
Yeah.
We've just come down to West 4th. I'm going to stick around as long as I have the energy to.
Right.
But definitely, I don't understand the looting, for sure.
Yeah, it's a bad thing. But then again, I mean, there is an argument to be made that peaceful protesting is kind of cute. You know, yeah.
No, I understand.
Oh, look at the
that
children outside. They're
rioting
so
is
cute.
Definitely the voice of the
But now they're smashing stuff, and Trump is paying attention, and Cuomo's paying attention, De Blasio's paying attention. They're all paying attention, not because of the peaceful.
Destroying property, I get that.
What about-
Stealing it doesn't make sense. You want to get their attention because they care about property, not lives.
So you're okay. So we agree. So you agree, like I agree. You should be able to chase Bank of America and Wells Fargo's windows, but
Leave the money alone. It's
leave the money alone. Okay.
You want to get their attention,
Right.
Not make the movement a negative thing. They can
Right.
replace that. They have insurance.
Right.
Okay, but you don't
Agreed.
need to steal on top of it. You just want to get their attention.
Right, right. I think the looting is kind of has a historical place as well, where we're saying, look, we're taking some of what you took from us back. Is that-
I'm not sure I agree with that.
I don't
I'm
either.
not sure I agree with that.
Right, right. But it's good talking to you, really. It's really good talking. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. What's that? My name is Marcus Conte. It's I'm not live
Are we
right now
buffering?
because the connection in here sucks.
Yeah, it's hard to get streaming.
Marcus Conte on YouTube. Conte. So anyway, that was a good discussion. This kid was good too. Let's listen to him for a second.
58.
Right.
Um,
So, but you heard, but you're talking about the guy that got knocked down, right?
no, I'm talking about here in the city.
In the
New
city.
York City Council.
So tell me, I'm not here. I'm not following what you're saying. What's happening?
I'm saying here in the city.
Yeah.
At least there's some sign that officials are hearing
Yes.
what's happening here, and hopefully that's going up the chain, and people will show up to these city council meetings and make themselves heard.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, De Blasio, Cuomo, they're listening. Trump is listening. Do you think it has more to do with the peaceful messaging or the late night smashing of the windows?
The peaceful messaging, the mobilization, the organization.
Is this a sniffling young white man crying and blaming his parents for everything that's going on? Or is he a very smart, intelligent young man coming out, trying to understand and understand a little more and stand up for something he believes in? I think it's the latter. Why is Tucker Carlson shaming these people? This is what I'm trying to say.
An intellectual and heartfelt movement of people that want to see change.
So there's power in numbers. The numbers, like a Bernie Sanders kind of message. Power in numbers. When everybody stands up together, we win. Correct? What do you say to the people that say in the movement, inside the movement, that say no. 95% of people want peace, but this 5% is very important because this is how we get their attention. When we smash their windows and break shit. What do you say to those people?
I'm not sure I understand the question. What
Within the
people are saying
movement,
that the 5% are important.
the 5% of the people that are breaking stuff are in the late night smashing the windows, getting the attention for that. If you haven't been following mainstream media, that's all they talk about. All they talk about is when someone gets beat up by the police or something breaks.
I think that what's happening here is the more important message.
Right.
These people mobilizing peacefully.
Right.
Honestly, as a white man, I don't feel like I need to speak on looting and rioting when it happens because there are reasons for that as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think peaceful.
I totally disagree with what he just said about as a white man, right? He's still, okay, you got to just be sympathetic, be understanding. It's a rally for alleged black man who was taken advantage of and such, right? Just keep it into perspective. But there is a lot of that white guilt. You definitely sense the white guilt. You sense with the black woman, I guess she's black woman, right? She looks black, saying that she is surprised that so many white people care, right? So they're coming together. There's an understanding happening. And again, at the end of the day, it's always about the big money. It's always about the money. It always is. Protesting hasn't really worked out. I'm looking at the helicopters. That means there's another crowd coming somewhere.
I hope so.
Yeah. Hey, listen, really good talking to you. Thank you very much.
So we talked to a couple of people. I'll try to talk to more people as we go on. So Marcus Conte reporting. Good morning, everybody. Wow. So what a day, man, right? So and we're just getting started. So thanks for joining me. Become a Patreon of this channel if you can. And make one-time contribution if you can at PayPal. You hit my website, marcusconte.com. So moving the ball forward, that's what I wanted to do today. I just wanted to reiterate some of the two Americas. Are there two Americas or are there one America? Is it two revolutions going on, my revolution versus your revolution, or is it awake culture? Is the culture... Are we waking up as an American people finally,
show me a revolution historically that wasn't led by young people. Show me one. The 60s, that's the most, memorable. All revolutions are led by young people waking up en masse. They see their trappedness, their inability for upward mobility. They're like, okay, the longer we play along with this broken system, the longer we're going to get screwed, right? And those parents and those other people and those professors and all these other fucks, talking heads on TV, are saying, just obey, just cooperate, just do what you're told, God damn it. And that's law and order. To them, their version of law and order is law and order for you, and we get fucked. So revolution is where people start to realize that the young people are realizing that we're the shit end of the stick. We're the butt end of the joke. They want to enslave us into like this wage slavery for the rest of our lives. They want to indebt us with student debt. They want to take away our opportunity to travel, to communicate with each other by squeezing us economically so that we stay in those low-wage jobs. They see it. They see it. Right? That the politicians are corrupt. All of them are corrupt. They're money grabbers. That we don't have fair elections in this country. That we don't have a healthcare system that provides healthcare to all people. That we don't have an education system that is actually educating people. That is more about a business of indoctrinating, especially in like business schools and MBA programs. It's indoctrination into corporate slavery. They see it. The young people see it. So I would say that there is one America, and there is one revolution, whether you like it or not. Start to listen, start to trail the young people, and try to align just a little bit. If you want it to be less painful than it already is, because I know it's going to be painful for a lot of people. Go with the flow. Go with the flow. Yeah. If you really want to speak up, grab your guitar and start playing. Love this band. Hey, good morning. Buoy Girl says it seems more like a tsunami than a flow. I agree, man. I think it is a tsunami. This is the tsunami we've been waiting for. It hits. It hits. It hits when you least expect it. Pow! And then all the pieces fly. And you're trying to get out of the deep water. You're trying to get your head above the deep water, and it swallows you. Such a great band. So underrated. So underrated. I don't know what the next song is, but listen. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Mark Conte in the morning. Everybody.